August Jake here with my review of the Worker full-length darts. I got these from NF Strike for a very nice, reasonable deal. Of course, Worker has been well known for their half-length darts, but these darts are fairly new to the market, and I got my hands on some to test out, and of course to compare them to my favorite Precise Pros. And the Busby Precise Pros have very, very nice consistency, high performance, but they also do come with a cost, and their limited availability. Basically, currently you either have to go walk into a Kmart store, or you can find the Exact Strike, this Adventure Force Exact Strike version, available on Walmart's website. It's pretty much the only two ways you can get them. And again, either way is a little bit pricey, because you get like about 30, I believe it is, for $9 on Walmart's website. It's $8.88. And then at Kmart, you get a package of, I believe, a dozen or 15 for $6. So, expensive darts. Very good performance darts, but expensive. These, on the other hand, from Worker, bring the Worker name to a full-length dart that is not expensive. They're actually very reasonably priced. And these darts, as I'm going to show you here in a minute in the firing demonstration, are going to be a pretty nice option. So we'll go ahead and check out that firing demonstration here real quick with me using a stock Nerf Evader as well as a modified Recon Mark II. So we'll go ahead and check that out now.
We'll do the Evader first, and first up will be the Precise Pros. We're going to fire at, this is about 35 feet away, and I am firing from a rested position. So here we are. I'm going to fire at the red crosshair target. I'm aiming directly at it. Oh, off to the left there. Got some that are pulling off to the side, so mostly consistent, but some pulled. Now, let's go for the Worker. I'm going to have the same aiming point and let the shots just go where they do. Had a swirl there. Oh, way off. Okay. Shots will show for themselves on camera, but I'm seeing a little less consistency, but that looked pretty dang close. Okay, let's load up my modified Recon Mark II. For those of you who wonder, this thing is hitting about 125 feet per second or so. It's the one I did my modification video of modifying it to hit the Recon Mark II or Retaliator to hit 120 feet per second for 12 bucks. That's this specific blaster. Ooh. That one pulled. Ooh, that swirled. Check my shots. I've got 7 left. Okay, now on to the worker, fired out of the modified Recon. Let's see how these work. Oh, whirlybird. Swirled. Nice, that was fairly centered. And I am placing this front post directly on the center of that red crosshair target. I am not changing my aiming point. Ooh, that was actually a bullseye, it looked like. That was awesome. Check my shots. 6. Let's count them now. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And done. Okay, we'll go to the workbench and I'll give my final opinion on these darts.
Now coming back, my opinion on these is not just based on what you've seen in the video. I've tested them with other blasters, ran around, already had 5 or 6 Nerf wars with them here over the weekend, trying them out. And what I can say is this: they come with above average performance, consistency, and they are very well made. Doing the typical pull test on the tips, I have not found a loose tip on any of these darts. If you ran through 50 or 100 AccuStrike copies from any of the websites, NFStrike, Litake, eBay Special, whatever, you pull on the tips of brand new AccuStrike copies, and you're going to probably find a lot of them aren't glued on well. It's a worker product. They're actually very well made. They're all glued on very nicely. So for those of you who are sick and tired of buying a whole batch of AccuStrike copies and blowing the tips off, these aren't going to do that. At least not at first. I haven't had a single one, no matter what I fired it out of, I hadn't had a single one fail. And that says something, because normally I do. I'll see a lot of failures through my testing. But these, I have nothing bad to say about them. They're nearly as consistent as the Precise Pros, until you hit really high FPS. Now, of course, most truly competitive high FPS users, like say the people who are breaking 200, 250, 300, they're going to use half-length darts. So this doesn't really apply to them anyways. These are stable for the typical Nerf player. The ones playing in the backyard who just want a dart that goes where they aim it instead of flying all over. And they don't want to spend a fortune doing it. These are probably going to be one of the best options, if not the best option. I would put them up there consistency-wise. They're easily as good as AccuStrike copies, if not better, with better construction, and as good or better performance velocity-wise. Now, the only fault I can find is not really their fault. Some of the darts are smushed, smashed, bent, and that's from, you see this one's ovalized, that's from the packaging. They just get shoved in a sleeve, and if you order just a whole bunch of darts, if it's a smaller order, like a couple hundred, they'll just stuff it in a pad pack, padded envelope, and send it to you, and you'll get a bunch of them smushed. That's the only faults I can find with these. They're not overpriced, they perform well, they're very consistent, and as you can see, the tips are smaller than the foam, so they will actually fit and do well in a sealed breech, a brass breech, or just simply tight barrels. they will perform well in that, and that's the advantage they have over the Precise Pros. The Precise Pro tip is a very consistent, accurate tip, but it's chunky enough that it can cause some issues in tight-fitting barrels and breeches. These don't have that issue. They're just well made for everybody from the average, family user who just wants to go play in the backyard to somebody who's going to 100, 125, 150 feet per second nerf wars. I wouldn't push it above that, because then they do start to whirly bird. Out of my modified snipe, these will whirly bird fairly frequently, and that thing's firing between 160 to 170 feet per second. And at that point, it starts to whirly bird. And out of one I've recently done that's brass breached, it'll basically whirly bird them almost all the time. And that's firing, I've had that thing firing over 200 feet per second with a brass breach. So, something to consider. But hey, if you want to buy them cheap and then just cut them down yourself because you're a half-length dart user, there you go. For some reason they're out of stock on the half-lengths. Just a thought. Because it would give you extra foam to work with. But that's an idea as well. But to cut it short, do I recommend them? Yes, absolutely. And as my Action Strike copies wear out, I believe I'm going to change over to these. Because I like what I've seen so far. I'll do a long-term test on them and come back around to them months later and see if my opinion changes, but being a worker product, I don't think it will. They're very reputable for quality. I haven't had any issues with anything I've ever bought from them, and I don't think these are going to be any different. But I will keep you guys on the channel updated a few months from now and see what the long-term test will reveal. But this is Mongoose Jake with my opinion and review on the worker full-length darts. I'll put a link where you can get them from NF Strike down in the description below. And again, I do give them a complete thumbs up. They are a great alternative to my personal favorite, the Busby Precise Pro, offering most of the performance and consistency of them at a far lower cost. And with the added bonus that they won't have trouble in a modified breech or barrel. So that's something to consider. I would actually pick them over the Precise Pro if you're going to use a modified blaster that has a very tight breech. But yes, for the average user, you just want a good dart that's going to actually go where you aim it. Much better choice than most of the standard fare that's out on the market. And it's not being sold at an overpriced amount. So definitely recommend them 100%. That's the worker full-length dart. Again, link in the description below where you can get some of these for yourself. This is Mongoose Jake saying thanks for watching.